Hey guys, this is Joel from the Fincastle Pokemon Gym. Now, members of the jury, I will now present to you my case on why you should follow what I do here at the Fincastle Gym. And if you get a little sand in your eye or somewhere else, do not despair. It'll heal before you marry. Now, there were 3 regionals in 3 different countries on 3 different continents, all occurring simultaneously. One in Birmingham, which I guess is somewhere in the UK, one in Brazil, and one in Texas. And as I scrolled through the results, I saw list after list that was card for card identical to all of the other lists in all 3 places on the same weekend. Now ask yourself, as I asked myself, how is that even possible? Draw from that whatever you will. That's just mind-numbing, which I guess is the desired result. Which leads me to how I got to today's feature on Flygon EX, but before we get into that, let's just go straight to looking at the card and go from there. Flygon is a Stage 2, 310 HP Fighting Terra type. He has 2 attacks, weakness to grass, no resistance, and a 1 energy retreat cost. Now the focus of this deck is the first attack, Reversing Storm. For 1 fighting energy, it does 130 damage, and then it runs back to the bench. Which of course means you have to promote something else, which will be the focus of the deck discussion. Its second attack, Sonic Peridot, which would have made more sense if they would just have said Sonic Crystal, but whatever, does 100 damage to each of your opponent's EX and V in play all at once. Now I am experimenting with lists that focus on just using that attack for post-rotation once Manaphy is gone, but we'll come back and look at those when that time gets here. But Sonic Peridot has its uses here, and we'll get to those in the context of the deck. That said, here is the list. Now oddly enough, this deck came up at our last show while talking to a couple of friends, one of whom plays a box version of this. But the list that he runs sounds like it has a little bit of everything in it, and as expected, sounds wildly inconsistent. Now maybe this comes from coaching junior age players for years, but I have found that simplifying a list and establishing consistency is always the place to start for me, and often that's just where the list should stop. And what ties this back into what I was saying earlier was that this friend said something like, "But that's not how the list goes." And I'm like, what list? Is there some secret council that makes declarations? Is this an Illuminati thing? I don't get it. I don't know if I digress or I give up is more appropriate. But let's continue with the list. Now with all of the choices out there to wall a Pokemon behind, there are 2 that stand out, and those 2 are Klefki and Mimikyu. Now, as you saw in the graphic I just had up, there are lots of options. But these 2 you can get with Poffin, and both can retreat for free with the rescue board and with Beach Court. I have 6 cards that allow for that switchback for your wall Pokemon, meaning Klefki and Mimikyu, and 4 of those can stay in play for multiple turns. That's the board and the stadiums. But that is not the main reason I focused on them. Klefki is a terror in this format, and I think he will be even stronger after rotation because when active, he shuts off everybody in this graphic, and these are just the ones played in top decks. I'm sure I've missed many others. He does, while active, shut off your own Fezandipity, but so long as you can retreat, that's not a problem for you. You'll still be able to retreat him and then draw if something did get knocked out. If you face a deck that doesn't rely on a lot of abilities, or gets set up enough to not need them, Mimikyu is usually the route to go, as there are still a lot of decks with nothing but EX and V attackers. I have a Cleffa in here in the event of an emergency bad start, or going second if you just need that extra bit into your hand to get a strong second turn. But usually the Klefki lock is where you want to begin, because that's where everybody uses all of their setup guys. Now it's worth pointing out at this point, everything I'm presenting, I'm going to try to do this from this point on, I'm trying to make in a post-rotation form. So you're going to see me trying out Revavroom a lot in many of these decks. In this deck there are only 6 energy, so that doesn't present a lot of opportunities to use him, but in most matches, you don't need to attach more than 3 to 4 energies in a whole game. So with the 2 stretchers, there is more energy to toss here than it may look like. The supporter Arven really is the driver of this deck, so I added 2 Pokegear to try to get him early, on top of the 4 copies of the card himself. There are a lot of 1 or 2 counts of items and tools, but Arven makes those pretty accessible whenever you want to get them. And honestly, once you get set up and start attacking and switching, there are some turns where there is not a lot that you need to do. Sometimes it's just draw, retreat your blocker, attack, and then switch. I thought a Surfer would be just fun to try out in here, and it's actually a pretty good card, so that may warrant more than one of those down the line. I run just 1 Colress, so if you get a lot of damaged EX and V on their side, you can use it late in the game to grab that A-Spec Neo upper energy and charge the Sonic Peridot and just take them out all at once. I absolutely could not get that recorded, as every time it's been possible, my opponent concedes before I can complete it. So as always, if you have any questions about the list, or something I didn't cover, just ask them below. It's not as complicated as the large looking deck list may make it seem. It's just hit, run, and repeat. Now let's get to a couple of games. This first game is against Cerulege EX, which is basically just Palkia V-Star Greninja until they get enough energy in the discard to turn to Cerulege. I get a pretty decent start, have my Poffin, go ahead and get out a Klefki and a Varoom. I'm going to put that board on the Trapinch so I can retreat. Get a Mimikyu just in case. I'm already thinking I'm going to go Klefki at the beginning of this game. They've got that Iron Bundle in the active spot. They won't be able to use his ability. I know this deck relies on Radiant Greninja to draw, so I'll be able to shut that off. They basically do all that. They get a Greninja down, get Palkia, can't do very much because of the lock. So back to me, get another Poffin, we'll get another Trapinch and another Klefki because I want to be able to keep that lock in place. Go ahead and use my Surfer, send up the Trapinch that has the board on him. Just in case I miss here, I can always retreat back into Klefki. But with the hand I've got Ultra Ball, I'm going to get Revavroom, I've got that Energy Search to just get an energy and draw. I'll be able to draw 6 cards with him, which is excellent. You see, you don't need to use him a lot, but being able to use him at the right time is very important in this deck. We'll toss that Fighting. You see I get Rare Candy, get another energy. So we'll Rare Candy to Flygon. And attach. I can't evolve the other Trapinch, he just got down this turn. So we will go ahead and knock out the Iron Bundle for 130. And retreat back into the Klefki and see if we can keep this lock in place. Now they sent up Greninja, had the energy, couldn't use concealed cards, they just attached that energy and retreated and passed. I got the skateboard on my Klefki, don't have anything else to do, don't need anything else to do honestly. So just reversing Storm for 130, get 130 on that Palkia and switch back into the Klefki. They topped a Pheasantipity, got him down, that's all they could do. I topped a Rare Candy. I've already got this Flygon in my hand, so I will evolve to my second Flygon. Rinse, repeat. I will retreat and finish off the Palkia. The second Reversing Storm back into the Klefki, which will keep them from being able to use Pheasantipity. I get an Arven out of my prize cards. They send up the Charcadet, see what they draw. They have nothing else they can do, so they concede, and that's the game. This last match is against Chinpao. It was a fun game because you could tell they recognized what the lock was pretty quickly and were trying to work around it throughout the game. Yeah, pretty standard start. We got Klefki and Varoom down with Poffin. Gonna attach and retreat that Mimikyu and get the Klefki up. We'll go ahead and get another Trapinch down with the Nest Ball. Going and use the Terra Orb to get a Flygon, just so I don't have to worry about drawing that later. And we're going to pass. I don't want to play anything else down yet. They get down Chinpao, attach an energy, and hit me for 10. I get the Rare Candy. Now, if I had a way to retreat, I could have got the Flygon up and kind of taken over the game. Did not. They went ahead and Rare Candy to the Baxcalibur and knock out my Klefki. So I send up my Flygon. On my turn, I top an Energy Search. Play the Pheasantipity down. I was afraid to lose him earlier. So attach an energy, I'm going to use the Energy Search just to get energy in my hand, so I have a better chance to draw something with Pheasantipity. I don't really get what I'm looking for there. Use the Color's Tenacity to get pretty much all I can get, the Beach Court and another energy. Then we will Reversing Storm again. Get 130, I'm going to send up the Pheasantipity to make them have to work a little bit for a knockout one way or the other here. So they retreat that Excalibur. They get 2 energies back out with Chin-Pao off his ability. Don't get enough to knock out my Pheasantipity, so they only hit me for 180. I survived that turn. Top a rare candy. Go ahead and play my Beach Court down now so I can retreat Pheasantipity up to the Flygon. I'll attach to my bench Trapinch, and again, not much else I can do, so I will go ahead and Reversing Storm. Get 130 on the Chin-Pao. Send up Mimikyu and make them have to play around that, which they do. They retreat. Energy Retrieve will get energies back on Excalibur and knock out my Mimikyu. I top a Arven. I'll attach my Neo Upper to the Flygon. Then we use Pheasantipity to draw 3, get that Ultra Ball. Don't need that last Trapinch at the moment. Gonna get Revavroom and Evolve. I do want to play this hand down a little bit more before I try to draw with him. So I'm gonna use that Arven and get Poffin and a rescue board. With this, I'm going to take Mimikyu and go and take another Trapinch because I don't want to get caught without Flygon to attack for a turn. I'll get my rescue board on Mimikyu. Now I'll use Revavroom to draw. And I'm going to go ahead and Sonic Peridot and take out that Chin-Pao on the bench because I don't want to fall too far behind in the prizes here off of these two. Get a rescue board and a Vibrava. They come right back and load up a Chin-Pao. Thankfully, in the process of doing so, they had to throw away their catcher, their prime catcher. But they one-shot my Flygon. Like on my turn, I top and Ultra Ball. I'm going to do some thinning at this point. And get Flygon with the Ultra Ball. Then we'll Candy to the Flygon with the one I already have the energy on. Go ahead and evolve the next one to Vibrava. Going to attach there. Don't want to put that board down yet because I may need it somewhere else. I'm going to just go ahead and Iono. It's excellent because I get the counter catcher. So now I can take out this Excalibur. They don't have even a Frigibax down. Now I'm going to use Pheasantipity, see what else we get there. There's that Klefki, which is even better. Because I'm going to take out the Excalibur, and I can switch into Klefki, which means they can't even use Chin-Pao to draw energy. So at this point, have them locked up very well. And on that knockout, get another Arven. And I think this is the point where this back and forth chess match has kind of swung pretty heavily my way. They just get down a Frigibax and pass. They can't get any energy out. I'm going to retreat back to my Flygon, and I'm just going to take out that Frigibax so they cannot get another Excalibur. And at that point, that leaves them pretty helpless on anything they can do to try to really get back into this game. And just to make sure, we'll switch back into the Klefki so they cannot use Chin-Pao or anything else. They do get Radiant Greninja down. Can't use him because of the lock. With my rescue stretcher I topped, I'm just going to go ahead and get a Flygon back and get a second Flygon in play. So now I've got two 310 HP guys. So again, I think it's pretty much downhill from here. Got an Iono off that, not going to use that. Definitely don't want to give that many cards. I'll get my other rescue board and go ahead and put it on Klefki so he doesn't get trapped. Just going to basically thin, get that energy back in my hands. So if I get Iono'd, I'll have an energy back in my deck. Then we'll retreat to Flygon. Reversing Storm, get 130 on the Chin-Pao. And come back to the Klefki to keep them locked down. And they draw, can't do much else, and finally concede. Now this deck really adheres to the old adage that I grew up with, that I'm sure you're not supposed to say anymore, and that is the acronym KISS, or Keep It Simple, Stupid. But I'm old, so I get to. This deck is very mechanical, it's not hard to get going, and I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but just don't forget you can always use the Evolution TM on Klefki or Mimikyu to evolve one stage at a time and preserve your lock. And just as a reminder to be more clear, I'm not saying that I was amazed at the lack of variance through those events a few weeks ago, and in the same breath saying you must play this just like me. I'm here to get you to explore other ways to play and find one that suits you. I can tell you from experience that mirror matches with mirror decks in a tournament are usually decided at the opening coin flip, and that's not much fun, at least not for me anyways. So I'll end on a quote from the imaginary prophet Morpheus. and that is I can only show you the door, you're the one that has to walk through it. Thanks for watching. Any form of support for the channel is always appreciated. Until next time, be not afraid. Later.